We've got Charu Chanana, Global Market Strategist and Head of Forex Strategy at Saxo Markets. Charu, thanks so much for taking time out. You've got clearly a big event that is going to take place in the US, but we've seen a lot of these, tech-heavy stocks as well coming under a bit of pressure. Just give us a sense as to how you're looking at the overall momentum right now in the US, given the fact that as of now, we have seen a lot of commentary as well coming in from the US Fed with respect to cutting rates.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all. And, there's obviously a bit of a rotation that's going on in the US stocks, really. I mean, we've seen that overvaluation concerns in the tech space, specifically in the big tech space, and the chip stocks have been talked about quite a lot over the last few months, but they continue to rise despite that. I think, that concern is, of course, coming back to the limelight as we are approaching the earnings season for those tech stocks as well in the next few weeks. At the same time, of course, we've had a better CPI print last week, and there's been a confirmation rather for the market that the Fed remains very close to rate cuts. So markets again pricing in a rate cut in September from the Fed, and that's obviously kind of fueling a little bit of a rally in those small cap stocks that are certainly laden with debt and a lot more yield sensitive than the big tech as well. And of course, I think positioning has had a key role to play here as well. Going into that CPI print last week, the positioning from hedge funds was actually at a record short in those small cap names. So all of those factors are contributing towards a rotation. And now, of course, you mentioned that big event, right? Markets are starting to price in the second Trump presidency as well. And with that, again, the first thing that comes to mind is tax cuts. And that's, again, potentially a little bit more positive for small cap stocks. So I think there's a lot of factors really underpinning kind of a rotation in the US markets. Of course, we need to be really, cautious how far this can go, because I would think that, as much as we're getting close to that first Fed rate cut, can we really get that kind of a rate cutting cycle from the Fed as we've got in the previous years? I mean, certainly there are fiscal concerns at this point. There's an energy transition. There's trade relations that are being questioned, and all those things are inflationary. So that will probably be a speed bump in that rally that we're seeing in the small caps right now.
Absolutely. And, since you did talk about Trump's second presidency, there's already a lot of chatter, Charu, in the market about whether this could also mean escalated geopolitical tensions. What could it mean for China? And what could it mean for export and import dominated sectors? You think the market has now begun to price that in as well?
Of course, I think the market's really betting on some of his policies, taking cues from what happened in the first term of the Trump presidency. Now, whether we continue with those policies or not is really a big question. So I would be, again, very cautious of, front running this expectation of Trump policies and his stance on, say, trade tariffs, his stance on immigration, his stance on tax cuts, as much as, I would give you an example of in the FX world, because I certainly head the FX space at Saxo. So, it was seen previously that the US dollar could be a big beneficiary of a Trump presidency because of all those inflation risks that I just highlighted previously. But his recent comments from, President Trump, he's been sounding a lot more cautious on the dollar strength. So will he really go ahead with those, tariff policies and tax cuts, which are inflationary and which can boost the US dollar further? So I think right now this is really a game of guessing where it goes. And I think it's really, we have to be really cautious in kind of trading a Trump presidency at this point when we have no insight into what his policies could look like.
All right, Charu, thank you very much for giving us a roundup of all that's going on across the globe.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.